3, 2, 1.
You ready?
You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Real Pineapple. This is your humble host, Hunter, here. Hope you're all having a great day so far whenever you listen to this. So, I am off today. This is a Monday I'm recording this, and I thought, oh man, cool. I'm gonna get real high. I'm gonna rewatch the Batman. Because that's on HBO Max right now, if you have not seen it, which you should. And I went, yeah, hell yeah, that's going to be my day after I got my taxes done. It is tax day, everyone. Get your taxes done if you haven't yet. And then Marvel, which, let's keep in mind, Thor Love and Thunder comes out in July. So we're, 6 weeks? Not 6 weeks, what am I talking about? Like 9 weeks away, roughly, from the film coming out. And Marvel went, it's almost like they woke up and went, oh shit, that's right, we have Thor Love and Thunder coming out. And look, I've talked about this on the show before, how DC, has put out trailers or done things that feels like to try to take away some of Marvel's buzz and vice versa. But come on, y'all. Like, this is clearly, like, the fact Marvel couldn't even wait till tomorrow to put this trailer out. They were just like, oh, the Batman premiered. All right, let's drop our first Love and Thunder teaser, and let's call it is, man. This is a great teaser, and I know this is not realistic because no film ever does this anymore. But I would love if Marvel could actually resist the temptation and not put out another trailer until a movie comes out. Again, I realize that's a pipe dream. There's no fucking way that'll happen. But I would really like that because I like how there's a shocking amount in this trailer that the more I looked at it, I went, oh wow, there's actually quite a bit that I'm noticing here. But at the same time, it truly is a teaser. And I love that. I love the fact that they're not giving me too much. I actually kind of want to not know much more than this, but I'll get into what I saw here in just a moment. But this, again, of course, is directed by the man, Taika Waititi. Fucking love this dude. Of course, Jojo Rabbit alone. Of course, he did Thor Ragnarok, which, while I don't enjoy that as much as other people do, I think it's such a fun fucking film, and it's incredibly, rewatchable. And Taika's been on a roll between Jojo Rabbit and the Thor franchise, and then he's got that HBO show, the pirate show. He's got that show that's apparently really great that I haven't seen yet. Directed some episodes of Mandalorian. Like, Taika's on a roll right now, and this feels very much more in the vein of Ragnarok, which I would expect. This obviously takes place after Infinity War, and so we get what I love about this trailer, and I'm just going to kind of just dive in here, but what I absolutely love about it, just to start off, so I love the fact that it starts off from jump, and this is a trend we're starting to get more in the MCU that I'm digging. We're starting to get more of the classic Golden Age comic book costumes in our stuff. When we saw Richard E. Grant rocking the old school Loki costume. We, of course, got, Captain America rocking his Golden Age costume. We got Luke Cage on his, on the Luke Cage show, showing his Silver Age costume. Like, we're starting to see more and more of these costumes that, let's be real, are insane in the best way, but that are nuts. And that you would think could not be adapted in any way, state, or form in film. And the fact that we're getting that now is something I'm like, yeah, give me more of this. It doesn't have to be a whole thing or even show them in the costume, but even just these little glimpses that we're getting of it, I'm so fucking down for. And it's a cheesy thing, but considering Taika is really all about having fun, it's something that I go, yeah, this totally fits in with the tone already that you're establishing in this first trailer. So yeah, I'm really digging that they're doing that. Also, as far as like Thor's journey, he really has been the one who's lost the most when you think about it out of the core Avengers. I mean, yeah, Hawkeye has his trauma, lost his best friend Natasha Romanoff, but I mean, he still has his family. Thor thinks Loki is dead, which of course we know he's not. He lost his dad, he lost his mom, Asgard got destroyed, he got to watch Heimdall get killed in front of him. Thanks, Thanos. Thor has lost a fuck ton. And so I'm really, above all else, curious on how his hero's journey is going to be as far as him finding his, quote, place in the world or in, amongst the 9 realms. So I'm really curious about how they're going to, where Thor's going to end up here. Because Hemsworth has talked about the fact that, yeah, obviously he can't play Thor for forever. But at the same time, I think Hemsworth is still having fun with this. It feels like Taika has breathed new life into this character because, I mean, let's call it what it is. After Dark World, that was really the first big MCU miss, critically at least, and as far as fans are concerned. And so the fact that Taika really came in and went, oh, no, we don't have to be done with, solo Thor films. I got this shit. That's a testament to him and just how great and talented of a writer / director he is. So I'm really just curious where Thor's going to end up. We'll see. Continuing on here, and I'm not going to go in order. I'm just going to kind of pick things out that I noticed. So I do have to point out, since Loki has dealt with Loki variants, multiple Loki variants, and we now are aware that we're in the multiverse, I'm really curious because I feel like we're getting Thor variants in this. It almost feels like you almost have to. And I don't expect the trailers or really any of the trailers to give any of that away. I think they do kind of want to hold that closer to the chest as far as it being a surprise because, we're getting Multiverse of Madness coming out here in a couple weeks. We know we're going to get multiple Doctor Strange variants there. Considering we're dealing with Thor, it really would make sense for us to have variants there as well. So I think we're going to get some, and I'm going to get to the big one I think we're going to get here in just a bit. So I love the shot where Thor plants Stormbreaker in the ground, like in the dirt. I love that shot because it harkens back to Thanos having the armor, almost like a scarecrow at the beginning of Endgame. How he has, I love that parallel considering, Thor used Stormbreaker to kill Thanos. And so that really could be him symbolizing just like, I'm done with this, because the voiceover we hear, throughout the trailer is him talking about how, he's done with, this superhero life and how these hands are going to be used to bring peace throughout the world now and no longer violence. So that's a really interesting portion of the voiceover to have playing while he's doing that. And I don't think that's by accident whatsoever. One thing that I'm absolutely loving is, of course, Thor, he was bro Thor last time we saw him at the end of Endgame. And so, Thor's getting back into shape. And so we're getting a classic training montage, which I really fucking love that that's a fucking thing. So I'm genuinely hyped / excited for that. Also the fact that Thor is in like a bro tank and he's got a trucker hat on and it has the old 60s 70s logo for the Avengers with I think we'd probably say classic Avengers. It has that crossed out. It says strongest Avenger because that's always been a thing for Thor. He has to be the strongest Avenger, especially when he was talking to Hulk / Banner during Ragnarok. I love that they actually are calling back to that. Again, narratively means fucking nothing, but it's a cool little Easter egg for you if you've been, paying attention, because there's a lot of shit that they pull from. But absolutely love that subtle thing. Just shows that Taika just loves to stick these little Easter eggs in for people to enjoy. And I really appreciate that. Taika, you brilliant bastard. So my big question, or one of the big questions I have, it's at the 24-second mark where we see Thor, doing the whole montage. That creature that's killed, is that a Celestial? Is that a Titan? Because that was almost my first thought, is like, we've seen Celestials before, but it feels like the MCU is really starting to expand out the mythology in general as far as magic and mythical creatures and things like that. So if that's our first Titan in the MCU, that opens up a ton of possibilities and potentially could introduce another character that I will get to here in a moment. But that shot in particular is something I'm going, okay, I'm paying attention to how that could potentially come back. Moving forward in the trailer, of course the Guardians are here. Really cool to see the Guardians of the Galaxy here, or the Asgardians of the Galaxy, as Thor called them at the end of Endgame. Of course, Chris Pratt back as Star-Lord, Batista back as Drax the Destroyer. Everyone in the main Guardians cast is back, with the exception of Gamora, which I appreciate that they're actually keeping that consistency, because it would be, let's call it what it is, very easy to just go, well, almost pull the Fast and Furious with Letty, where she's back with the team, but she just doesn't remember who she is, and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps as the adventure goes along. I appreciate the fact that Gamora is still not a part of the team and off doing her own thing, because that potentially teases a potential team up with her and Adam Warlock against the Guardians, which is something I personally want for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, because I believe the team will look drastically different by the time we get to the end of Volume 3. Pardon me, as I lose my voice here. Taika Waititi, of course, voices Korg again. I am so happy he's back. That beautiful blue bastard. His new costume is fucking badass, and it's very reminiscent of the new Asgard look. You see the gold in the belt buckle, the multicolor in the pants there. Here, and this is at the 37 second mark that I'm referring to. Here's my big takeaway on this shot, and I bring up this shot in particular for a reason. One, I love the Ravager Thor look, wearing the vest, very similar to Star-Lord. The shirt he's wearing looks like, it's kind of hard to tell, but the way that you see the big red circle there, it looks very similar to the book, the drawing in the book that Jane Foster shows him in the first Thor. So I think that's a t-shirt of the Nine Realms, which when you think about, if you zoom forward a little bit in the trailer, where we see New Asgard and how New Asgard is a tourist attraction now, presumably they would have a gift shop. So it would actually make sense for Thor to have a shirt of the Nine Realms as he's wearing that, which I think is pretty cool. The big takeaway, though, from this scene for me, or this frame, is that there's clearly supposed to be a third person here. They're pulling a No Way Home where you see Peter going towards the Sandman and Lizard and all that, and it's just one, and just the way the shot's framed, you go, wait a minute, something's been removed. The big question is who the fuck is supposed to be there? So I've got two guesses, and either one of them is good. I'm happy with either one. I think it's either Hercules, because as we do see later on in the trailer, it does look like we're actually going to be in Olympus for a little bit, because of course we do see Russell Crowe, not his face, but we see Russell Crowe in theory debuting as Zeus, which that'll be fun when we actually get to that. Because if I can get me a fight scene between Zeus and Thor, please give me that, Taika. But who's there? So I think it's either Hercules, which I think would make the most sense, because Hercules and Thor definitely have a rivalry just through Norse mythology alone. But it could be, going back to my whole variant theory, it could be better. It could be Better Ray Bill. That's the other one that would make the most sense. I feel like it could be either of them. I really don't have a preference. If it's either of them, I'm stoked. Or it could be someone I'm not even thinking of. But those are the two that spring to mind. That spring to mind the most. Zooming forward here just a little bit, I love the fact that at the 40-second mark, we see this boat being carried, and if you zoom in, those are goats. And tying back to Korg's new outfit there with the belt buckle, it's no coincidence that he has a goat on his belt buckle, because if you remember from Norse mythology, Thor actually has two pet goats, Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder. They're called something different in Norse mythology. It's a very complicated name that I will not even attempt. But in Marvel continuity, they're called Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder. Fucking awesome. Love that. very curious how much they'll go ahead and influence Thor, because if you look at the 49-second mark, it looks like he's on a boat potentially, but he's opening the Bifrost. So did Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder, did they go ahead and get him to that boat? Is he using them to go ahead and travel throughout the 9 realms? Very curious to see how they're going to be introduced and how they're going to be, how much of a factor they're going to actually go ahead and play. Moving on from that, we see, I mentioned Zeus earlier. I dig the fact that Marvel, I think just in an attempt to keep the shit as streamlined as possible, when we see, Zeus's thunder, you notice how the thunder and everything is gold. That very much ties in with Eternals, where, the Eternals being celestials and being gods themselves, their power base for all their shit is color-coded in gold. So it's a very simple way to kind of tell us, the audience, hey, Zeus is on that same celestial plane as far as power level. So that's actually great. That's actually a very simple way to go, hey, this is how these powers work. These are how these powers work. This is why they're color-coded. I love that. So, yes, more of that. Keep it simple. Thank you, Marvel. At the 52-second mark, just the scope you get of all of the people, all the gods there that Zeus is, putting his hands out to and entertaining. And this is where I think it's going to be very fascinating, because because we know that, oh my gosh, I want to blank on his name, Christian Bale, that he's playing Gore the God Butcher. And a place like Olympus, where you have all those gods just sitting there chilling, that screams a massacre. That screams an intense fight scene. So I'm really curious how Thor getting there is going to influence his journey, because you could easily see how Thor would go to Olympus, kind of think this is where I'm supposed to be turned off by it, and immediately go, okay, this is not, the journey that I should be on. So I'm really curious how they're actually going to establish that aspect as well. Last thing I want to bring up, which is, the most obvious thing. The shot that we get at the, I had it here, at the 55-second mark, that shot is awesome right there, because that is that's straight out of the comics. That's straight out of, Thor God of Number issue 3, where we see Thalagar killed, and that is the catalyst in the introduction of Gore the God Butcher in the comics. So it feels like Taika's drawing from multiple sources, which, if you've listened to the podcast for any amount of time, I've always said draw from multiple sources, don't just draw from one run, and I love that Taika does that. So I'm very excited that this is a shot straight out of the comics. I wonder how early on this is and where this leads Thor moving forward, but love that shot's in there. Love that this is one of the first things that we get. Also, just 2 more quick things. I love how we get just a little sense of where Star-Lord is at mentally, where, he's kind of giving Thor a pep talk about how, whenever you're lost, just look to those people that you love. And we get that great shot of, Nebula, Karen Gillian, Mantis, Batista, Groot, and Rocket. But again, no Gamora. And so just seeing that Star-Lord is clearly in that place of, damn, I know she's out there and I have to find her, because we're not the Guardians of the Galaxy without her. It's a very unspoken thing, but it's just a very subtle, hey, this is the headspace Star-Lord is in. And also it leads to the humor where Thor leans in the frame to try to go ahead and get in Star-Lord's way in his eyesight, just because, he loves Star-Lord. And it's such a cheesy bit of humor, but that's humor that I absolutely fucking love from Taika. So again, give me more of that. And lastly, of course, the big shot here is at the 121 mark. We see a hand grabbing Mjolnir, and Also, love that Hela, of course, Kate Blanchett, who played Hela. Remember, she broke Mjolnir at the beginning, really early on, actually, in Ragnarok. But Mjolnir has been reconstructed, or at least put back together somewhat. I love that the cracks are still there. And we go ahead and zoom in, and we get Jane fucking Foster, Natalie Portman's Jane Foster, who looks, let's just call it, she looks better in the helmet than Hemsworth did. Like, I love the first Thor. I'm a huge fan of it. But he's not wearing the helmet very long. He wears that shit for like a scene, maybe. But to actually have Foster wearing the helmet, or having Portman wearing the helmet, she looks amazing in it. And it already looks better on her than it did on Hemsworth. I know they're both just as pretty as each other, but that's something that I went, yes. I am hyped that we're getting that. And props to Natalie Portman. She definitely put in work. Those arms look fucking huge. She looks in amazing shape. The costume looks excellent. Real quick, if you haven't read the Mighty Thor storyline, don't read it before the movie comes out because it will spoil some shit. But in short, Taika's already confirmed that Jane Foster's cancer will be a plot point, because that is a plot point that's pulled from the Mighty Thor run with Jane Foster, where she becomes worthy and becomes a new version of Thor. So I'm really excited for this movie. This is July 2022. I think it's July 9th or July 8th, I think is when this comes out. So yeah, July 8th, I believe is when it's out. So I'm really excited for this. But people, what did you think of the first Love and Thunder teaser? Were there any Easter eggs that you saw that I missed? Let me know in the comments. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. You can follow Scott on Twitter at NearmanTheFirst. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on SoundCloud, Apple, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Tune Up, to name a few, at The Real Pineapple. Don't forget to like both our pages on Facebook at Real Pineapple Games and The Real Pineapple. That is REEL Pineapple. And don't forget to follow yours truly on Letterboxd at Black Shazam. And you can follow me on TikTok at Black Shazam 775. And you can follow me on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. My best and worst stuff will be out this week. I am so excited to get that out to y'all, as well as reviews next week for Ambulance, as well as oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the name of that freaking movie? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I am so excited to talk about that movie. But everyone, thank you so much for listening. Take care of each other. Wear your mask. Get your COVID shot if you haven't gotten it yet. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.